Hey guys, how you doing? Back with another one today. I'm going to try and make it quick. There are a lot of points to get over, really, but today it's a slightly contentious one. Not really, but contentious between me and some of the fellas. So it's console gaming versus PC gaming, and I got most of my mates play on console, and they got a bunch of arguments towards it. I have arguments towards PC gaming, but my argument really is if you're a serious gamer, PC is just the place to play games for so many different reasons. So obviously, I'll break down a couple pros and cons. So console pros, it's cheaper to get your foot in the door. Consoles in Australia, even though they should be cheaper than this now, they're between 8 and 900 Australian dollars for the current generation of PS5 and Xbox Series X. You can also get Nintendo Switch 2, but if you looked at one of my prior videos, I'm just not a big fan of Nintendo in general. Don't know why you'd buy them. But yeah, so $800-900. A PC is going to cost you $2,000 to $2,500. Because if you're buying a PC, a lot of people really want to push through the door for something that performs a lot better than a console. So it's a lot more expensive upfront for a PC. Consoles have that going for them. They have the simplicity aspect. The operating system that's designed for them is very simple. You plug and play, you start up, you put a disc in, but not all of them now. A lot of digital consoles are around, so you download a game on there, which is another problem that I'll probably bring up. So yeah, there's pros to console, but then there's cons to console. So if you're an online gamer for console, you have to, just to access the ability to play multiplayer, you have to pay for a subscription. So in Australia here, PSN, PlayStation Plus, whatever it is, for the essentials, the cheapest tier, monthly you're paying $15 or $112 a year, which is an ongoing cost you'd have to sort of pay for, which to me, man, I don't know. Since coming across to PC, it seems like a lot of money to just constantly fork out every month just to have the ability to play games online, because on PC this is not a thing. Anyway, so you're paying these ongoing memberships just to play your multiplayer games if you're playing multiplayer games. And I guess now I'm just going to break down the comparisons within multiplayer as to why I think PC is super superior. Obviously, you have, I guess, first of all, you have the ability with a way more powerful machine. So if you're playing competitive multiplayer games, it comes down to reaction timing, things like that. PCs can push more frames. They have less input latency. They've also got higher graphics fidelity if you want it, or you can lower that. You have the option to lower it significantly, which you don't have on consoles, to pump your frames up, get a competitive advantage if that's what you're in for. And you have high resolution monitors, high refresh rate monitors. You can go all up to like 500, 600, 1,000. They're going too soon, I'm pretty sure. But then again, there's an argument. You need a very powerful PC to get those frames. But you also have the access on PC games to reduce the visual quality to pump frames. So you have those sort of arguments for, I guess, a pro for PC competitive games. Consoles, you're locked at 120 frames in the current generation. There is input delay, though not as big as it's, largely overstated, but there is input delay to do with consoles, which you don't get. Depends how serious of a gamer you are too. 120 frames does work for most people, but it can't be understated the difference between, say, just a 240 hertz refresh rate experience and a 120. It's very noticeable. It is very noticeable. People might, the human eye can't see more than 30 FPS, which is complete, bull crap. Everyone knows that, but it's funny. But yeah, big difference in them. So you got that competitive advantage with PC. You also have the, the graphical fidelity option. So if we're talking about single player games here, if you are a big single player gamer, and I guess that, a big part of single player gaming for a lot of types of games, big open world games, exploration games, like the way a game looks is pretty big to most people. And you can pump generally higher resolutions on PC, and you have access to different settings, which you do not have access to on, less powerful console hardware to make the image absolutely immaculate compared to what most consoles can run. Though, if you've only ever played a console, you're not going to really know until you sit in front of a mid to high powered PC and really see it for yourself. And you have resolution, different, you can play with resolution, upscaling techniques, ray tracing on PC. So there's a big benefit there in single player games. Console, I guess where I can see the benefit of console is for the casual single player gamer, the person that does not need to pay monthly subscriptions to play online. They buy a game once every 3 to 6 months. They have their console just sitting there collecting dust most of the time, but a new game comes out They play it for 2 months, they beat it, or they don't, depending on if they can stick to it. Like me, I struggle with some games. But, that's really the argument I can see for a console player. And then everything else I can just doesn't make much sense to me other than financially. And I totally understand not everyone has the money to dump money on PCs. They're very expensive, especially with everything going on with the memory crisis with storage and RAM. But yeah, so that's the real big argument I can see for consoles there. But also with that upfront cost of PC, I know it's more expensive, but it is a computer at the end of the day. So there's a lot more you can do on a computer than you can do on a console because it is a computer. You can do your work on it. I don't need to list off reasons. We all know what we can do on computers. But also with computers, there's upgrade paths. So you can custom build a computer. You can customize a computer. You can, upgrade the GPU, which is the graphics card, every 3 to 5 years if you'd like. So that initial cost isn't as much compounding, I guess, over time, though, depending on how far console generations are apart at this stage. There's another argument for itself because with all this, RAM crisis and everything, we might see 10-year spans between console generations. If from what I've read, Sony doesn't release the PlayStation 6 till 2029 to 2030, which would be crazy. But yeah, there's no upgrade path there with consoles. You have a big upgrade path with PCs. The only upgrade path you have on consoles is storage space. Anyways, it sort of seems like a bit of a no-brainer to me. I can't see, I can see benefits in console, but if you're a serious gamer, like I said, whether it's competitive games or you're really into your single player games, it's a no-brainer. Also, access to games. So PC, you have different marketplaces. You got Steam, you got the Epic Store, you got, I think it's GOG, you got a bunch of different marketplaces which are competitive with each other to bring prices down. With consoles, you're locked into one ecosystem normally. If you have a digital console, you're really stuck between its Game Pass availability, what games it has on it, and what it has on its digital storefront. And a lot of the time, games are very expensive. So if you're going to buy a console, buy the disc version so you can access physical media. And that way you can buy secondhand games from Facebook Marketplace, or in Australia, we have EB Games and they sell pre-owned copies. And also games go on sale in different shops if you can buy the discs for them. So that's a way to get cheaper games. PC, you get, all the different marketplaces competing with each other. Steam has sales every other bloody week, it seems like, which, I'll just bring it up now. Like, this is one of the, like right now, like 80% off, 50% off, 60, 70% off. And not only do these games come on sale, but you have access to games on PC you do not have access to on console. Vice versa, though. PlayStation has its first party games, like, Ghost of Yotei and, what else do they have? Wolverine and Spider-Man. They got a couple exclusives, even though this generation, the exclusive pool has been completely dying, which don't come onto PC. All Xbox exclusives are currently on PC, so there's no problem there. And the way Xbox is going with their next generation, they're probably going to be running a Windows-based console anyway, so it's going to be pretty much a PC. But Steam in general has over 130,000 games. PlayStation, because it's a bigger selling console, has 1,100 sort of first-party releases on its console since 2020. And then with backwards compatibility, they've got just under 10,000 games. So Steam's releases in 2026 alone, here we are, I'll move my head. I don't know if you can see that. They've got 10,000 games released this year alone, 21,000 last year, and you have access to these massive library of indie games, and there's some gems there. And they're cheap. They're like between $10 and $30 most of these games, and they're absolutely awesome. You just don't get these experiences on consoles, and that just compounds to the factor that it's just PC is just superior for gaming for me. But there are arguments for consoles. I think those arguments are dwindling. I think multiplayer gaming on consoles seems less and less like a good choice, and PC growth is growing at a way quicker rate now, revenue rates and all that, and player base rather than console. Console's been slowly declining. Actually, not declining. It's been still growing, but at a smaller margin. And its constant player active users, I should say, has sort of just steadied out. So it's a no-brainer. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think I'm just crazy with these thoughts that I've got, but if you haven't played a high-powered PC, it's hard to understand. I do understand that money is very hard to come by these days, and PCs are very expensive. and you're very privileged to own a very good PC and a bit of hardware. I do totally understand consoles in the regard that you can get them cheap. You can buy a secondhand console. It gets you gaming, and that's the most important thing. This isn't a slide on consoles. I think they definitely should exist. I just think that PC gives you way too many cons in 2026 not to get one if you're a serious gamer. But if you got a console, enjoy. Gaming is just the absolute best hobby, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Like, subscribe, comment. Yeah, let me know if you think I'm crazy, but I'm making videos most days, so I guess I'll see you in the next one.